Simple faith. Without faith, it's impossible to believe him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is. He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Go to Genesis. Let's close this thing up. Chapter 4. Now we're going to go back to the conversation. God is going to talk to Cain, and he's going to give him a key right here that is going to be the freeing moment, okay? Cain, I'm infatuated as much with Cain as I am with Abel, and I'll tell you why, and I don't have time to read it all, but Cain says to God, you're going to put more on me than I can bear. People are going to kill me, and God marks his forehead so that nobody will touch him. And that gets repeated in the book of Revelation on the 144,000 Jews, which are a representative number of those who are sealed by God. In other words, God actually extends mercy and grace to Cain, even though Cain was completely unworthy. That's how good your God is. And you think God's ticked off because you're chewing gum during praise and worship? Because you got up and went to the water fountain during the preaching? This is the silliness that I've seen in the church. You think God put a mark on Cain so that nobody would kill him, even though killing him is what he deserved? That's grace and mercy. Your God has always been graceful, gracious, merciful, always. But look at this. So the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? This is right after he rejects the crop sacrifice. Okay? Why are you angry? Why has your countenance fallen? You've never had your countenance fall 2 seconds in your life, Cain. Why is your countenance fallen? The Lord just simply wants to teach him a faith lesson. Okay? 7. If you do well, will you not be accepted? Time out. Right here is the very reason why some believe that God accepts you when you do well and rejects you when you do bad. They say Genesis 4 and 7, God told Cain, if you do well, you'll be accepted. All you got to do is well. What we turn that into is go out and do good, God will accept you. Do bad, God will reject you. If you do well, will you not be accepted? If you do not well, sin lies at the door, and its desire is for you, and you shall rule over it. But how many of you realize this wasn't written in the English? This was written in Hebrew. Wouldn't you like for a moment to know what if you do well means in the Hebrew? Look at the Hebrew. Do well, Hebrew, yatab. Be pleasing. If you are pleasing, go back a screen. Let's put that in. If you are pleasing, would you not be accepted? Take another time out. You already know this verse because you just stared at it for 10 minutes. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. You don't even have to see it on the screen again. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. How do you please God? Faith. If you are pleasing, wouldn't you be accepted? What's pleasing? Faith. The word for do well is be pleasing. What's God say in Hebrews about being pleasing? Without faith, it's impossible to please God. What would please God? Faith. So what's he saying to Cain? If you have faith, won't you be accepted? And if you don't have faith, not you'll be rejected, but sin lies at your door, and it wants you. But you're supposed to rule over it. Why? Because I created you to rule over sin. How do you rule over it? Faith. By faith. How can it rule over me? I'm dead. I'm a living sacrifice. Holy, acceptable to God. It's my logical service. This is so beautiful. It just drips with the awesome glories of God. Of God saying, don't lose sleep tonight, my beloved. Paul would say this in Ephesians 1 and 6. I didn't put it up there, but you know it. For God hath made us accepted in the beloved. What's the word accepted there? It's beautiful. It's only used 2 times in the whole New Testament. It is the Greek word charitu. At its root, at its base, it has charis, which is grace. He hath made us accepted. Charitu, grace. Its other usage is for Mary, the virgin. When the angel says to her, oh, Mary, you are highly favored of the Lord. Greek word, charitu. So you know what Paul was saying in Ephesians 1:6? God hath made you highly favored in Jesus. God did it. You didn't do it. God did it. How did it get started? Only believe. It is by faith we have access into this grace by which we stand. It is the faith of just believing. I am yours and you are mine. I'm not going to come to you as Cain. I know my mama told me I'm the best and the prettiest and the smartest and the most handsome. But I've also learned that the ugly kid next door had his mom tell him the same thing. So God, I don't really believe mama anymore. I was told I was the smartest, and then I met that dork down the street. And I'm telling you, God, somebody lied. I don't want to call my mom a liar. So God, what I'm going to do is just reject. I'm going to reject everything I've ever been told about me except for what you say about me. And what you say about me is I am accepted, and I am holy, and I am the righteous. And that's a testimony inside of my life that witnesses to me about who I am, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.